I think we're recording.
Okay. Good morning, I'm Nikki from WIFM FM. I am a chair, and today I'm joined with Charlie Guiguet from Accruent. Today we are going to be talking about the International Women's Day, Breaking the Bias. And so Charlie has kindly agreed to be interviewed by us. Accruent are our proud sponsors of Women in FM for this year. So Charlie, tell me a little bit about your role and how that fits in with the FM industry.
Sure. So I'm a senior sales engineer. I provide demonstrations for my vendor, Accruent's software solutions. And I have a pivotal role in understanding any of our prospective maintenance managers and facility managers' requirements and needs throughout the year to determine if those match any of our solutions. Within the FM industry, I have to understand each person's positions, their daily roles, their day-to-day activities, their goals, and their objectives on the short, medium, and long term. I also advise typically our customers on best practice considerations and help them work towards more mature asset maturity curve, grow their understanding of total cost of ownership, and gain visibility generally on their entire portfolio.
Excellent. Gosh, that's a job and a half then, isn't it? I think the biggest challenge with our sector is that you can have 4 people who are doing the same jobs or cause something completely different depending on what company they work for. So it's not the easiest industry to understand when people are just entering it, is it? So what would you say, what challenges have you faced relating to being a woman in that role, and what biases have you faced over the period?
Yeah, I think the biases and the challenges mine are fairly typical, I would say, of most women in the industry. Often if you are in a combined room all together, often being immediately biased towards being the designated note taker or the designated coffee bringer. These sort of underhanded, I would say, biases that people don't even really realize are there.
Quite ingrained, aren't they, those ones?
Absolutely. And I would say also things like often being, needing to bring a peer to a meeting, perhaps with customers, as opposed to being able to handle that by yourself. That not necessarily being understood or immediately offered. Or even better, I mean, I do have examples of, some outright sort of disrespect from older generations out there in the industry. So I would say those challenges are fairly typical, though.
Yeah, and it's a shame that you have to deal with those. So how would you say that? Can you give us an example of how you've overcome those?
Sure. I mean, so if there is any sort of blatant disrespect, it's always I always try to lead with, how would I like to look back on this event? I always try to lead with respect, even if I can stand up for myself. Sometimes having to, explain why on something or process a little bit more deeply than a likely peer who would be male, just to kind of up my credibility. I think the old adage of keep your head down doesn't work anymore. No. But at the same time, want to feel like I can, look back on the event with pride for myself, essentially. Yeah.
I think you sometimes find yourself going over things, because I used to get this years ago, and when I've been doing this for like 17 years now, but I used to find that when I was talking to people about like technical manager and technical directors roles, and it's almost like they were mansplaining it to me, and it's like forgetting that I've grown up in a family of FM people. My dad was a spark. I've done 3 house renovations myself, so and I'd find that I ended up having to go over things with them to show that I understood what they were talking about. Now, I know that there's colleagues of mine in the past that didn't understand what they were talking about and just worked to what the spec said and looked for keywords, that never had to go through that. And it stood me in better stead in the long term, but really frustrating that had to do that they took my colleague's word for it, that they knew what they were talking about when they didn't actually understand. And so yeah, slightly frustrating. I mean, that doesn't happen now, but that was in my earlier on in my recruitment career within the FM sector, and definitely in construction, because I did construction before then. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a different sector altogether with behaviours. So
I
what
I would also say, I mean, I can't say that I've faced those challenges alone. I think nowadays, especially, but along my journey, I can't stop but thank, you know, some of the mentors that I've had that have um, either stepped aside to let me shine, or reinforced my position, for example, in a meeting, just so that elevates my confidence and allowed everybody in the room to know, no, actually, this is the person who has the information, even if said mentor potentially could take over the room, you know, refusing to do so. I
and
think
that
that's
I think
quite
that's
key.
part of the challenge as well, isn't it? Is having those enablers that are there to lift people up and give you that safe space to just crack on and do your job, and say, actually, they know what they're doing. They're in this job for a reason. And if we're trusting them with multi-million-pound contracts, then we need you to trust them with them, because they are our experts. They've got those home skills. So what advice would you give to people coming into the industry and trying to raise through the ranks?
I would say in general, and I think this applies, you know, to any women in work, whether that is an FM or not. But really, it's be confident in what you know and honest with what you don't.
Yeah,
There will always be more to learn. You know, ask too many questions, make people uncomfortable, and if you can, find that mentor that I was talking about, because that will really be that cherry on top, that enabler for you, that I mentioned. Also, if you want a new position, don't wait until you have all the skills to perform the job or ask for the opportunity. People won't always have you top of mind unless you let them know and raise your hand. I think too often as women, we wait until that point, or until we're
we're asked.
overqualified, or until we're asked. No, raise your hand, I guess,
Yeah,
is my best advice.
that is the thing that I'm always shouting about, because like they say, like, if a woman looks at a job spec and sees two things that she can't do on there, she doesn't apply for the job. If a man sees two things he can do, he puts that application in. And so yeah, that's a big one for me. So
Guilty
what
as
do you love?
charged.
That's it. What would you say that you love about working in the service sector? Apologies, my dog is barking. I'm working from home today, so these are the joys of modern working from home.
The
What would
joys of
you
work from
say
home.
that you love about working as a service enabler to the FM sector? Because obviously you're a technology provider, but without your services, you help people go smarter and faster, don't you?
Absolutely. And I think my personal favorite part of my job is really that light bulb moment, the moment that I'm able to see when our customers, you know, their pains, their challenges, the exact thing that they were just mentioning, and they can see the value in how that solution will be um, immediately, either in the short, medium, or long term, that band-aid for those challenges, but also help them scale, grow. So when we can put that finger on the thing that's just right from day one, and then allow them to go beyond that. I think that's my favorite moment, when I see that light bulb go on in somebody's mind. I'm I'm pleased that, you know, they
That you are the solution.
that, well, not just that I'm the solution, but that I've been able to translate that, right,
Yeah.
to help them gain that understanding.
Yeah, yours is very much the vehicle for their success, isn't it? So, I mean, a good CAFM system will really help accelerate a business. And I always say, my husband's actually a CAFM manager, and so I see him like trailing through all the data, and it takes him ages because he's super, super diligent with it. Whereas I know that that would not be the job for me, because I get 2 minutes and I'm like, yeah, I'm bored. I haven't got the, I don't know, not got the level of detail and concentration, but that's his thing. And if you put good data in, you're going to have a much better working contract after.
I was about to say, it's really all about that adoption, right? Change is always there for opportunity, but without adoption, without people really buying into the value of something, what you put in will come out, right? So yeah, making sure it's the right fit for not just from a workflow or work perspective, but for the team overall and their needs, right? It's in the end, it is people applying that method or that solution. So you really want to make sure they see it, essentially.
Yeah, you've got a bit of a win in the hearts and minds as well as the technology, haven't you, to get that work at its best. Well, I really appreciate you agreeing to talk to us today, Charlie. If there's anything else that you'd like to share, or if anybody has any questions for Charlie, please drop them in on our LinkedIn. We'll be sharing them on the Women in FM LinkedIn, and I'll be sharing them on my personal LinkedIn. I'm sure Charlie will share the video on hers. So if you've got any questions for her, please feel free to drop them on there, tag her in, and she'll come back to you over the next few days. So thank you for celebrating International Women's Day with us. Thank you so much for being our partner for this year. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to doing great things with you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Nicola.
Take care. Bye.